Hello friends, this is the Cryptonian taking a look at Cardano ADA today. Uh, this is not a criticism of Cardano. This is not a endorsement of Cardano. This is just a hard look at what we see on the charts, right? I know that there's a large community out there that loves Cardano, and I know that there's a competing community out there that dislikes Cardano mainly because they're Ethereum supporters. So now that being said, I think in crypto we all need to be as supportive as we can for all projects, right? Because this is an industry that is young, it's growing, and you don't want to criticize other projects. I think being honest is, being honest is okay, but throwing shade at other projects is really not good for the space, right? And it's just really not good as an investor. I think when you get too emotional, it clouds your judgment. All right. Well, anyway, that being said, I want to challenge all of you, whether you're a supporter or if you're, not a fan of Cardano. I'm going to challenge all of you to take a look just at the price action of Cardano on the chart. Now we're going to start off on the daily. Cardano is about 25.6 cents. We're right about here. So we're right in the middle of this wedge here, this wedge pattern. This wedge pattern is putting in lower highs, okay, right here. And we also see that the wedge pattern has put in a lower low if you include the wick. Now this wick I think is this wick is important. However, if you're one of those that you don't like to include wicks on your analysis, then if you pull this up like so, you can actually make an argument that this is a descending triangle, right? Descending triangles are bearish, typically bearish. Not 100% of the time. They usually have a higher rate of a breakdown than a breakout. But descending triangles do break down, or excuse me, do break out to the upside a small percentage of the time, right? But the majority of time they do break out to the bottom, right? The majority of time they do break down like so, right? And so, but I would like to propose some thoughts here. Number one, I would like to include the wick because that shows a lot of buying pressure, right? So I think including the wick here is important. When you do that, it looks more like a falling wedge rather than a descending triangle, right? But there is no denying that in the past, of course, we've seen aggressive selling here, right? We've seen aggressive shorting here, just coming down, down, down. It has some of these impulses and then just continues to go down. So, especially against Bitcoin, all right? But that's not really the focus that I want you to notice. We know that Cardano's been beat up lately. We know that it's gone down a tremendous percent. But let's actually see how much it's gone down percentile wise. So percentile wise, from the 316 top to where it is today, it's down roughly 92%. 92%. That's crazy. That's pretty aggressive selling. But what I'd like to show you is take a look at this pattern here. Okay, we see this as I see this more of as a falling wedge than a descending triangle. Descending triangles, like I said, are bearish. Falling wedges are bullish. Falling wedges are bullish. Now, regardless whether you want to consider this a descending triangle or a falling wedge, whether you're bullish or bearish, let me show you something that may challenge your thoughts here. When we go to the weekly, now what do you see? This is interesting, right? What we have here are two Well, let me get my marker out. Two patterns here. I call this a falling wedge. You can call it a descending triangle. That's fine, whatever you want to do. Uh, I call this also a falling wedge. You can also adjust this to, if you adjust the C to here, you can also call that a descending triangle. That's not really the point. The point is these are almost identical, right? These formations, although there's a little bit of a difference in the way that they formed, the price action forming them is a little bit different. The pattern is almost identical. And so I would like to say this one probably had more of an aggressive dip than this one did here, right? But if you take it in relation to the range, and if you check it by ratio, it's almost identical probably. That being said, look what happened here. We came down, coming off of the bottom, and we went straight up through the top of that, and we went higher, right? So that's why I consider this a falling wedge, and that's why I consider I want to include the wicks in the formation of the pattern. Now, on lower time frames, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Some people like to include the wicks or the shadows, the lines. Some people don't. I do both. In this situation, because it's on a weekly time frame, I would include it because this shows a lot of purchasing in that area. And so that is the same as what we're seeing here, right? Is we're seeing that wick here. And going into a bullish year next year, or a potential bullish year, it's a presidential year. We have the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs possibly getting approved, possibly this year or Q1 of next year. I think it's inevitable. You have crypto legislation being submitted for law in Congress, right, in Washington. And so there's a lot of developments, right? These are all growing pains of a new baby technology. And it has the potential to really change the landscape of the internet, of how information is shared, and how you interact with that information. And it has a huge impact on financial institutions and the way that we transact. And so knowing all of this, knowing that next year is a presidential year, and usually that's bullish. Where do you think Cardano is going to go? Looking at both of these patterns, right? Where do you think it's going to go? It's already down 92%. I mean, unless it's going to zero, how much farther can it go, right? And moving into a Q4, and this has been going down for a long time. And you can see that it's starting to see some significant buying here, and it's starting to show volatility again and a possible consolidation sideways, right? So that being said, we could go lower. Sure, we could hit the bottom of this formation, right? But then again, we could go higher too. Depends on Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin falls out of bed and just falls out of bed and sells off hard, Cardano is going to follow. Okay, but if the market is going to turn around, whether it's Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year, what do you think Cardano is going to do? Cardano is going to follow the market. And so I'm just putting this out there in front of you for your opinion. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think that this is the potential bottom here, that Cardano is going to eventually break out of the top of this and go higher and start a new bull run similar to what we've seen here? Or do you think it's going to continue to grind down to 15 cents? And if it goes as far as 15 cents. Let's say 15 cents is the bottom. You're not too far off of the bottom here. So is this a time to dollar cost average? Is this a time to start, buying in little by little and waiting for Cardano to get into the next bull run? Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. If you're buying here, dollar cost averaging, uh, when the bull run comes and Cardano starts pushing higher, and inevitably it will. Now, whether it makes a new high or not, $3, not really sure. I mean, you'd think that it would. I mean, it went to $3 in the first bull run, so going to $5 or $6 doesn't seem to be too much out of the question. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is this the beginning? Is this the sign of a reversal in the macro trend? I think it's very possible. I think it's very possible here that we could see Cardano going into a low volatility state and starting to reverse here. So I'm considering Cardano for the next bull run, and I think because there's such a large community, and I think there's because of the narrative behind Cardano and its history and how it's done really well. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't believe in Cardano, but you know, in a bull market, you see even trash do really well. So I'm not saying Cardano's trash. Do not misunderstand me. But what I'm saying is Cardano is still in the top 20. So in a bull run, it should do well, right? Should do well. And if that's the case, and we start off the bull run next year, or even this year Q4 in a few months, should we be accumulating Cardano? Now, this is not investment advice. I'm just sharing my analysis. But I think it is strong evidence that these two patterns that are the same. I think this is a strong evidence that we may be very close to the bottom here with Cardano, or the bottom may have even been put in at around 22 cents, 21 cents, 20 to 22 cents. Although we're not very far off of that, could we retest it again? Yeah, sure. And if, like I said, if Bitcoin falls out of bed, we could go lower. But I think that Cardano is looking attractive at this point. The patterns are the same. I think it's very close to turning around, and I'm going to start picking up some Cardano. I just want to kind of see what happens with Bitcoin a little bit over the next few weeks, but I'm definitely looking at Cardano. And let me know what you think. Are you thinking the same thing? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for your time, friends. That's it for this video. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I think it's potentially bullish for Cardano, really. Thank you, friends, for your time. Please click like, and please share this with others, and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.